Well, one thing that I really enjoyed just learning about was getting to know the people of Minnesota better. I grew up in greater Minnesota. I knew the state pretty well, but boy, you learn to know it in a different way when you're traveling all around it. In the 5 weeks leading up to the primary alone, we put on 8,000 miles around the state. Really to every nook and cranny through the course of the race. Minnesota is comprised of an extraordinary people, and it was really wonderful just to meet many more of them. The biggest challenge at the course of the race was at the beginning. I came from outside of politics, never run a race before, been in the private sector all my career. The political process is grueling. It's absolutely grueling. Whether it be the process to win the Republican endorsement, where you're traveling around the state, it's wonderful. You get to meet tons of people, you get to see lots of the state. But I would say the transition, in those first few months of just going from non-politician to running a statewide race in a state of 5.7 million people was a real adjustment. Thank you to all the voters out there. We dramatically exceeded the most votes of any statewide Republican in Minnesota's history. We came up just short, 20,000 votes, but we got over 1.2 million votes. And I'd say thank you to all the voters out there on both sides who came out and voted, participated in our process. America is the greatest country in the world for many reasons, one of which is that we are a republic in which we can participate in our own self-government. And I just want to thank people for that. And I would say for people who are frustrated, as I was, by the outcome of this race, I think what we showed in getting the highest percentage of any candidate in 30 years is that we can, even though we didn't quite get there this cycle, there's a lot of people who said, oh, you can't get over 47% as a Republican in Minnesota. Well, we got over 49.5%. And I think that makes clear, and this was, of course, we did this in a year where there was kind of a blue ripple in Minnesota, a year in which the state Senate went to the Democrats, the Minnesota House stayed with the Democrats. Of course, adverse results elsewhere on the ticket. And so in a tough year for Republicans, we got, very close to 50%. And I think that Minnesotans who were frustrated by the results this year, I think can look to that as there being a real path to winning statewide in Minnesota as Republicans. I think it means that we have to run, we've got to, run really effective campaigns. We've got to do a lot of things really well. But I do believe that, one takeaway that people can have, despite the really tough results this cycle, is that we can win. And there's a lot of hope there. We got to keep fighting. We can't just throw in the towel. I respect people, who make the decision to leave the state and things like that. But I think what I would encourage people to do is to keep fighting for their home. Keep fighting for Minnesota, because this is a great state. It's a great state that is in a tough spot right now, and we have to turn it around. And I would just encourage people to stay involved, to stay to really actively, whether you're somebody who's out there, an activist knocking on doors, making phone calls, or working in your local BPOU, or somebody who's involved with contributing money, things like that. We can win in Minnesota. We have to win for the future of our state, for our kids, our grandkids. And so stay involved, keep fighting for the future of our state. I'll certainly keep fighting, and we all need to be out there doing our best every day to fight for the principles that have made our state great, made our country great, fight for the people out there who are suffering, whether it be the people who are living in North Minneapolis with extraordinary violence, or the moms worried about being carjacked on the way to work, or the people in greater Minnesota who are frustrated by a completely out of touch government, or are concerned for their kids getting drawn into fentanyl or otherwise. We got to fight for the people of our state, and so I would say just stay active, stay involved. We should make sure our leaders have the toughness and vision and strength to lead, and in a process like this, make sure it certainly winnows out winnows out people who maybe can't do that, and certainly makes those of us who do make it through it a whole lot tougher. Thank you to all the supporters out there that did a heck of a lot of work for us, whether it be putting up yard signs, making phone calls, knocking on doors, being active in the convention, the endorsement process, being active through the course of the race. Thank you for everything folks did out there. Really grateful, and your sacrifice is not in vain. We're making headway in a tough state, and for a Republican to win. And I would just say I'm going to keep fighting, and I just ask everybody else to be out there, keep fighting too. This is a great state. it can continue to be great. We can renew Minnesota. We just have to keep fighting for all Minnesotans, every color, every creed, every walk of life. Every Minnesotan deserves better.